I know.
I think it should be a crying face, honestly, but
that's fair. Okay, welcome everybody to Open Hour. That was a solid way to start the recording. Okay, so I'm your host, Janae Andrus, SALT Community Manager, and we are glad you're here. We love Community Open Hour. We love being able to connect with you guys and chat when we talk to other open source community leaders. They're always really surprised and impressed that we do this every single week and connect with you guys. So I love having this unique opportunity to hear from you and let you know what we're up to. As always, if you have topics that you want to address or questions, or just generally want to reach us, we are at saltproject@vmware.com. So saltproject@vmware.com is our email. Also, of course, we're on Slack. We're everywhere. We're on Reddit, we're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere. So we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on all the things. So come and find us. Also, the one place, source of truth, you can find us for all the things is saltproject.io. So that is our homepage, main page. It's where all the things are. So let's dive in. And we have a pretty standard agenda today. We'll go through some general updates and events. And speaking of events, we will talk about SaltConf a little bit, as we will every week for the next several months until it is time. We'll talk about working groups, release updates, release timeline, and then the time will be yours. So we will hear from you if you have any questions, or end early if you don't, or hear jokes from Wayne if you don't. So it'll be a good time either way. Okay. General updates, virtual meetups for June. We actually have two. So the first one is actually a really special and exciting one. So Wednesday, June 16th, because it's the third Wednesday of the month, we are doing our virtual meetup. We'll be at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, which is also 11 p.m. Universal Time. And we are actually going behind the scenes of the Hacks, right? So the Hacks is our podcast that is just fantastic. It's funny, it's informative, it's incredibly technical and hilarious. And it is hosted by Tom and Chunga, and they are going to come and speak to us and really get behind the scenes of the Hacks. They're going to talk to us about, how they come up with the shows, how much editing Chunga has to do on Tom or none, different things they do. So it's going to be a lot of fun and a really good time, and I think really informative. So really hope you guys can make it to that one. We're really looking forward to it. It'll be kind of a rapid fire format. I'll be asking him a whole bunch of way too personal questions, and then you guys can ask whatever questions you want as well. We'll have to do a Q&A at the end. So really looking forward to that. Okay, and that's on the community calendar. So that's how you can join. It'll be a Zoom. So the link will be on the community calendar. We'll put it in Slack. If you have any questions about how to access that, reach out to me, saltproject@vmware.com, and we'll make sure that you have everything you need to be there. So it's gonna be awesome. Okay, our second virtual meetup is it's going to be one that we're expanding to the Asia Pacific Japan region. There's been a lot of demand and request, and so we are starting a monthly virtual meetup in this region. So we're going to start having two virtual meetups a month, one at still the same time, 5 p.m., third Wednesday. And then this one, okay, I just have to tell you guys right now, one of my biggest weaknesses in life is time zone conversion. It is not my thing. So I specifically have to go to websites to look at the thing. So this is accurate.
You and everybody else.
Oh, thank you.
These are hard.
Okay, but I used resources for this, so it's accurate, I promise. And I tell my kids I know everything, and they say no one knows everything. I'm like, yes, but I have resources to get all the information, therefore I know everything. So this is accurate. We're going to be talking about just config management 101. It's going to be a good time. Tom will be speaking to us, our creator of Salt himself. And so it is at June 17th, which is 11 a.m. In Singapore time, which is the same as June 16th, 9 p.m. Mountain Time, which is the same as June 17th, 3 a.m. Universal Time. So these are not three different times when the virtual meetup will be. It is one time. These are just three different points of reference for the same live virtual meetup. So We're really excited about expanding into a different time zone to cater to a different audience, to be able to be live, to ask their questions. But of course, we will record this and put it on YouTube. And Randy is letting us know that time zones do suck in the chat, and that TZ data will save us. So, and Wayne says time is an illusion. Okay. Now, last chance for salt stack swag in the store. I'm going to keep saying it for about another 4 weeks. But I included a screenshot so you could see what I'm talking about. We really have slashed the prices down. So go grab a Death Star poster or some socks or whatever else. So tell your family if they want some fantastic, inexpensive t-shirts. You know, there they are. So we're excited about it. A lot of stuff is, some of the stuff is gone. So keep an eye on, it won't let you order it if it's out. So we have the inventory updated, so don't worry. But that is there. So if you want to grab some salt stack stuff before it's gone, when it's gone, it's gone. We're not ordering any more salt stack stuff. It'll be salt project swag next. And we're just trying to get salt project stuff in the store before salt comp. So that's the timeline we're looking at. So it'll switch over sometime late this summer. But meanwhile, here it is. So I always like to remind you guys, because I know you're our biggest salt stack fans. Okay. Speaking of salt comp 21 is going to be virtual, and it's going to be 2 days instead of 1 this year. So November 3rd and 4th. And our theme, like I announced 2 weeks ago, is bigger, better, faster, stronger. We're doing kind of a Daft Punk vibe, and we are super excited about it. We're going to have a ton of fun. And the call for speakers will be open June 14th to July 26th. So keep an eye on that. That is a week shift from the original dates we announced. And that's just so that we can just have the overall timeline lineup. So these are going to be the dates. So we really, as Sage mentioned last week, we really want this to be community focused. We really want the community to be well represented in Salt Conf. And so we would really like to hear from you guys. So if you're thinking like, well, I mean, I have stuff I could talk about, but I don't know that it's quite developed enough, or I don't know that it's robust enough or awesome enough for Salt Conf, like throw it our way. And we can either partner you with someone else who has a similar topic, and you guys can tag team something. We can help you develop it. We really do want to hear from you. You don't have to have a perfectly polished thing. If you just have kind of an idea or a direction or a demo or something, some way that you've been using salt to solve a problem in your business and what you're doing, we want to hear about it. So even if you just want to shoot me an email instead of filling out the call for speakers form and say, hey, like, this is where I'm at. I don't know that it's a full talk, but if you'd like to plug me into something else, this is what I have. Please reach out, because we have a ton of resources and ways to plug a lot of different talks in. But I really want to get as much of the community in as possible. So I'm trying to get this out to you guys first. And Sebastian asked in the chat if it's going to be online, Salt Conf or on site, and it will be online. So it's a virtual event, all online. So if you were ever thinking about speaking at a conference and you haven't before, this is an awesome way to get in, because you can sit in your house and do it on Zoom. You don't have to get on stage. You don't have to get physically in front of a room full of people. I mean, you'll be in front of a lot of people, but you can pretend you're not. Right? So it's a great way to get into speaking, to do it virtually. So anyway, and I just really do want to drive that home, that we really would like the community to be very well represented and take up at least 50% of our agenda. So trying to open it to you guys first and give you the strongest voice, honestly, in Salt Conf. So be loud, be proud. We want to hear from you. Okay. So I'm going to turn this over to Sage, our release manager, program manager. She's all the things. And take it away, Sage.
I'm actually going to turn this over to Wayne, because I had internet problems today and couldn't join the first test working group like I had planned. So Wayne, take it away.
All right, great. I get to jump into it twice a day. Woohoo! No, it was a good first meeting. We talked a little bit about what some of the things that we have discussed in the past, Sage and myself. We mentioned the idea of a test jam to add tests for the ports to master, and getting that effort underway. We chatted a little bit about tests and how we test in SALT, and kind of our three different types of tests and what that means. A couple little takeaways from that to add to our documentation. Then also, I think we needed to massage a few places and add some links. But other than that, went well. We actually went through some of them. I think we about 5 or so of the PRs that we had on that project board, that we were able to give a basic level of effort, small, medium, and huge, because that's pretty much what they boil down into, I think. But I think it was good. And if you missed that, we were not able to record it. But next month, we will have another test working group. And I will certainly be better prepared for that. And if you weren't able to make that, do come to the test clinics on Twitch, because we discuss tests there as well. But yeah, that was a test working group.
Awesome, thanks, Wayne. Sage, do you want to go ahead and take the release updates?
Yes, so this is Silicon. Today, 192 open issues in the milestone, 42 are unassigned. I think that's actually 41 because I went through and was looking at it. And there was a pull request that was linked. That one got assigned, so I think it's actually 41. But we are still asking for help from the community to please self-assign or open a PR and link it to the issue. You can do that with the syntax or manually. And then I can go and assign you or mention me in the ticket, and I can make sure that then we know. And then I have said that I will set a date. I was looking at these dates. We will definitely do a ports to master jam, likely be test specific, where we're going to focus on those that have PRs that are open but need tests before October. And I haven't been able to narrow down the date exactly, but I know it'll be before October. And I know that the docs jam will then therefore be before November. So some of those need to fall in place before I can get those dates. So I am looking at those and working on those dates and have a little bit of information. So just putting that in here for you guys. And hopefully next week I will have even more narrowed dates, if not exact dates of when we're going to have those, or at least one of them. And next slide. I still do not have a release date for the point release. I actually just put this in the release channel. We are still looking to get things merged in. We have had problems with tests. We are looking at doing a war room next week to fix tests. And this is to help us to not do these delays anymore. Of course, we need to look at some other things as well and hitting those release dates. And I think some of that is getting better. This time, what was really happening is tests were failing, and now we're still not able to get everything merged in that we think is a critical fix. So I can't really give a date until I have things merged in and we start tagging and we move along there. I hope that that's going to be today, because we fixed some tests and should be, we're running some things that are now going to get merged in, I think, today. So I hope to have more. Just being really transparent with everybody on what I know today. I wish I had more and I wish that it was better. I think a war room is probably in our best interest. And we'll be gathering on that and hopefully have more next week.
Paige, do you guys have a set list of the features you guys are looking to still add into the new release, or is that open-ended?
No, we have a set of PRs and issues that go with them.
Okay. Okay, good. So effectively, you're going to change for you then for that release.
Yes.
Okay,
right.
good.
Yes. Yes. Good question and good point. So it's not that it's a free for all and we're still trying to figure out what is what needs to be fixed. This is more of a, we know what needs to be fixed. We're trying to get those merged in, but we're having problems with our test suite. And so that's why going to a war room and fixing the test suite, we believe is going to be what will mitigate this in the future. Of course, there's always other risks and problems that we have run into in the past, but I think most of those we have addressed, and hope that will be better in the future.
Thanks, Sage. Thanks for your question, Randy. Okay. That's what we have for you guys. And we'll just open it up to everyone else. I will add before we dive into questions that if you noticed a void in your life of a new episode of The Hacks not showing up or a new episode of Salt Air not showing up, that's Tom's fault because he got married this week or last week. So, so that we paused for the week, but it's yay for Tom. We're very excited for him. So he's married and we're really excited. So we gave him a break this week. We thought that was allowed. But yeah, you'll hear from us. There'll be more fun in your life next week. Salt Air and The Hacks. And Sage put the link in the chat.
Yeah, that's the link to the issues, that the scope of the point release that we're still working on, just so that people have it. I'll make sure that's in the notes as well.
Anyone have questions? Concerns? Theories? Conspiracy theories?
Nothing. It's a quiet group today.
I have a pressing question. I'm gonna ask Gareth. What's in the tank behind you? I've been wondering this for like 2 years.
That is where my snake lives.
And the snake
Can
has
you
a
hear me?
name.
Yeah.
Yes, and the snake has a name. What's the snake?
The snake is Sylvia.
Sylvia. I love
See
it.
if she's up.
Yeah,
I think she's sleeping.
Okay, let her nap. That's
I have a
awesome.
question. Have we thought about, so there are a lot of modules that have been contributed to SaltStack that were contributed by community members that are no longer maintained or around. Have we thought about tagging those modules with metadata to basically notify users of that?
That's a good idea. I don't know that we thought of that specifically. We've sort of thought about what to do, and I think we've thought about a deprecation path for some of them. Some of them, as we were looking at salt extensions, we thought that would also help us to understand if there was one that hadn't been touched in a while that somebody really uses, that would help us, weed those out too. But that's a great idea, Randy. I think that we should also put that on our task list. And
Yeah, I mean, something like if it's completely unmaintained and needs a maintainer or something like that, give the community a chance to come in and fill in those shoes if necessary.
Yeah, as we
Kind of
started
building
looking.
on.
Go ahead, Garrett.
Sorry, I was just going to say, kind of building on what Sage said with the extensions. We have talked internally, and I think on some of the open hours, we presented the concept of the best way to kind of start splitting things out, looking at things to see if one the pieces of salt that we don't necessarily know extensively, but maybe used or to your point, may not have been touched for a while. Like the classic example that we always go to is the MongoDB modules. Those haven't been touched other than I think some black changes in years. But that could be because they're super stable and they just work. But we're still searching for, and we're welcome to ideas of the best way to kind of look at saying, like, identifying pieces of salts and saying, like, okay, which ones do we want to break out into extensions, and then say to the community, to all of you, okay, who wants to maintain this? If anyone, take this, go for it, right, branch it into your own repository, your own extension, and then you will be the maintainer of that set of modules. So unfortunately, we haven't come up with the best way to do that yet. So if anyone has any ideas, like, we're welcome to it.
Well, I mean, the most obvious way, because you can't really rely upon time, like you said, it could just be a completely stable module. But if modules have dependencies on things like a Mongo driver, and that Mongo driver is way the hell more update than what's in the module that's written. That could be a means of deriving information like that. There are possibly a couple of other ways to do this, but that's probably another discussion for offline.
Yeah, I'll just read out Sebastian's suggestion of having a survey. So we had talked about that as well. Like the best way to do that. We'd also looked at like some ways to do like telemetry in terms of usage. There's like the concern of privacy and like security there. So yeah, there's been a couple different ideas tossed out, but nothing concrete, nothing finalized yet.
Even if we modularize or turn them into salt extensions, most of the packages, even if they don't currently have a maintainer, you could use, because I'm sure you guys will be able to track downloads for salt extensions. You could use that as a means to drive that forward as well.
Exactly.
Hey, this module almost never gets downloaded. Let's just deprecate it out. And if somebody wants to take ownership of it, they can.
Yep. And when we say telemetry, that's the most that we even sort of look at today. And we are hesitant to put anything in place because we do realize that that's a big concern for us as well. And as well as we know that that's a big concern for our community. We also don't get a lot of responses in survey data that's actually correct. People will put in survey data and then we don't see that comes to fruition. Like we say, so where should we put this? Or how should we communicate this? Or what is it that the community wants? And they'll say X, Y, and Z. So we'll do X, Y, and Z, and then we still get the feedback that we're not doing the thing. So we've not had great success with survey data. Although we can continue to put it out there, we do not get a ton of response considering how many community members we have. We get less than 10%. So I think what's actually happening there is not that we're not getting the right survey data, we're not getting enough data to understand what a majority of people actually want.
It sounds like we need a better forum to do iterative responses rather than just blasting out surveys.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what that is today. We've discussed a variety of options.
All right.
I'll also point out like one of the issues that and it's feedback that we've gotten from people in terms of doing telemetry. And I suspect it's Sebastian's last comment of like where it's a no-go for them. We realize a lot of people run their salts installations in like air-gapped setups. So obviously like telemetry is not going to tell us anything about their use cases. So
right. And if
unfortunately, it's not a use case or it's not a solution that we can really rely on.
Right. And if people are maintaining their own internal pip repos and stuff like that, there's no way to actually guarantee you're getting the correct number of downloads from your guys' extensions.
Yep.
No, that's good. Thanks for bringing that up. Does anyone have anything else they want to touch base on?
I was going to say something about the salt extensions and modules. Oh, so as we started looking at the number of modules, there was, and I'm not actually sure where we are today, since there's a few moving pieces into salt extensions, but there were 526 modules. So to even get started on that of like, hey, here's some stuff that we know that we don't use has been a difficult task. I do have a list that looks like that sort of delineates, hey, I don't think that this is core to salt. It's something that we probably need to look at as a maintainer. Or if we're going to maintain it, maybe we do maintain it outside of salt and different things like that. There's sort of a gigantic matrix of 526 modules. So it's been a daunting task, but we have made some progress. Like I think the salt extensions is one of those things.
Is this a living document that people can access, or is this internal?
It's internal right now. I don't have a problem exposing it. I think it was a Google Doc, and now I'm not sure how to expose that exactly, since I don't have G Suite that's tied to salt stack anymore. So I got to think about that a little bit, but I'd like to.
I'd be interested in seeing that if possible. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and something that as we looked at, I'm not sure exactly where this fits because it doesn't go with any one working group necessarily as we look at moving things out. So I wanted to be able to share that information, and sharing it here doesn't seem like quite the right place either. And I just wasn't sure of the format, but I'm open to some ideas there. Maybe it is something we need to go through in chunks here at the open hour and then put it in our notes and expose that document somehow.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, it would help
Beautiful.
expose and potentially start conversations about priority and which modules need to be converted into salt extensions first.
Sure.
Things that are obviously don't seem maintained or don't seem to have a lot of users could be pushed to the back of the bus. But yeah.
Or maybe we make another project board like we've done for some of the working groups, and we take that data that's in a list and start making issues and cards and epics and things like that that could be more exposed in GitHub where we all are every day.
I don't think that's a bad idea. That way we could actually see who's being assigned work, whether that's community members or internal, it doesn't matter, but what they're working on and code that's being changed.
Right. Okay. I'll take a look at that. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that today, but I like that idea too.
That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
I would say for your telemetry idea, I like Carrie's idea where it's something that's effectively opt-in. It's not enabled by default. Give users the chance to provide that telemetry to you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, whatever we like, all the discussions that we had of doing any sort of telemetry, it was always going to be opt-in. We don't want to like sneak anything in there, piss people
Yeah.
off.
Right. So those of you that may not know this about the core team, all of us really take this seriously. And as it even started to come up, it was years ago now, a lot of us really pushed back on this. We can see the value that it has, but we are fighting for it to be the correct way because that's important to us. So we know that it's important to the community, but it's important to us as individuals. So I just want to iterate that to everyone here, and that's recorded.
And we
Yay.
generally don't try and make people mad on purpose.
Generally not.
And we'd rather not have telemetry than have telemetry collected improperly.
Absolutely.
We've been looking at it for a couple of years, and one of the issues is we don't just have to worry about the Americas, but Europe and the Far East. So there's a lot of global regulations involved.
GDPR and all that, yeah.
Yes.
And now that we're owned by VMware, we're even more under the gun of what we collect and don't collect, if we were to do it.
I mean, with basic stuff wouldn't be bad. Stuff from the version report, what modules are installed or extensions are installed, their versions. I don't view that as long as that information is properly secured and able to be removed at the request of the consumer, then yeah, I would say that that's pretty safe information to collect.
However, let me give you an example. One of the models they're using is something used for cryptography. Knowing the versions, you can get script kiddies then that can target for specific versions of cryptography and versions. So some of that can be loaded as well as what you save or not save.
Right, and that's why I'm talking about properly securing the data. You're gonna have to secure it all the way down to, the means of exporting that data to your telemetry endpoint in the first place.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I have another question.
Yeah,
Where are you guys at with supporting Alma Linux or other distros like Rocky Linux and DZ Linux?
We're actually, I think, really close in the Silicon release cycle. We didn't I just see a PR for some tests to go in? So I think we're moving ahead with Alma Linux. I think
Yeah,
I
that
have
seems
that right.
that seems to be the one that's the furthest along right now, and that's pretty much what we've settled on here at GoDaddy as well. But I know that Rocky just released its first RC. I think DZ Linux is somewhere around the same place. And I think there's one more floating out there that I just can't remember the name of. But yeah, just really excited to see those get in because we're gonna have deployments for those here soon.
Yeah, and so trying to keep up with that, which is like keeping up with herding cats, but we're definitely looking forward to it and trying to get those in as well and looking towards that support. I think that Stream is the other one that we were attempting to support next, although that may have changed because it's sort of all in flux, like I said. But I know there's a PR out there for some tests to go in for Alma Linux right now into the Silicon release cycle. So that's where we are today. Yeah, and I'm hoping there'll be more as we look at that.
Oh, other question: does Silicon support 3.5 still for Python, or have we deprecated that?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because we haven't, we should.
I thought we were, but I don't actually. The reason I'm hesitating is because I was like, are we on 3.8? Is our lowest 3.8 for Windows? Is that where we are today with Silicon?
I thought 3.5 was for Debian 9. It was the last one that we had 3.5 on.
I'm pretty sure Windows only has the one version that it's packaged with /4. I mean, you can kind of install it with pip on Windows still, but yeah, Shane, is that something you can do?
3.7.4. Windows ships with 3.7.4. But there's some Python has some vulnerabilities that we need to upgrade that to 3.8. We have a PR in for that.
Or at least the latest version of 3.7.
Right, but we're not packaging 3.7.10. We would have to build that, and we're not building Python right now. So
yeah, I know 3.5 is unsupported. So 3.6, the newest version of 3.6 is the latest supported one on up through 9.
Right. So the reason we haven't deprecated 3.5 yet is because we still support Debian 9 until that goes away. Our plan is or was to get Tiamat to the point where we could provide only Tiamat packages on old distributions like that. That would allow us to choose our Python version that we're supporting for those. But Tiamat is not quite there yet. So that's sort of where we're at, as we're trying to get Tiamat to a point where it's out of beta and officially something we can provide only Tiamat packages for certain distributions.
That's fair, and some of that workload is on me, so I apologize for that delay.
And then that'll get us to a point where we can potentially always choose the Python versions that we support, and we won't be beholden to distributions.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm aware of the work that needs to be done there, so I'll start diving into that again to try and assist with that effort.
Awesome, thanks, Randy. Yeah, and thanks, Daniel. I had started the conversation with my hesitancy because I was like, well, there's a couple of things, and there's a lot of moving pieces. Maybe we need a blog post or a table or something so we can all refer to it, because I know I can't. I hesitate to start talking about it because I'm like, which one am I going to talk about now? Let's start with one of them.
Well, is that not a part of the supported operating systems documentation?
So it isn't today. Exactly. It's and it probably should be. And so we've been looking at that and how we can make that clearer. And it needs some more help, I think. Yeah, especially as we're looking to move that document out of it's right now just a WordPress page, and that's what it's been for many years. And I'd like to move that into an RST file that lives with like install documents and is updated in that more PR fashion in the code, you know, in a repo, right? And then we can all work on it together as a community instead of Sage updating it when she gets time.
Yeah, I think exposing that version would be really, really good. Anything that impacts security, honestly, should be in that document.
Yes. Yeah, and then we can also make it more robust because I think it's missing a few pieces as it exists today. Yeah, Derek and I have talked about that a lot. Derek's actually out on PTO, good for him. But we talk about this a lot and doing it iteratively. So just getting it into an RST file sort of as it is today with a few minor updates, and then making other changes going forward and adding some other things to it and linking back to some other documentation as well, or additional documentation. And so we are planning to do that as a phased approach so that we can hopefully do that faster.
Yeah, it would also be great if we could, at least for the modules that are part of SALTs, you know, get a list of the dependencies that are required. I know that you guys have that in your version report, and or you can go to the requirements file. However, if you go to the documentation, I know that's really information unless it has a module specifically, and even then it may not be listed. You know, exposing those dependencies and the versions of those dependencies would be really good for security purposes.
Yes. That makes me think about I should probably write a issue outlining some of those things. And would love your feedback on that, Randy. I'll open one and send you the link to it so that you can, and of course, that's going to be in GitLab under Salt Open docs. I think that's where it is.
Okay, no problem.
Cool. That way I also don't forget.
It's good. Okay, anything else?
Well, I will say that we've had a lot of just open-ended Q&A sessions for the open hour, and we are looking to do topics. We even have some topics that I think we should plan out. But of course, we always take suggestions from the community. If you have something that you would like us to deep dive into, we also want to do that. And then last time, I think it was last time, or maybe it was the time before last, we also talked about demoing some work that is happening on the core team to show people what we're doing. And that I'm going to try to get into agendas so that we're doing just small chunks of that at each open hour as well. So we look forward to that and welcome any feedback for other topics that people want to dive into.
Definitely. Randy said a demo fest, basically. I like that. It's great.
Yeah.
Would be a ton of fun. So, and it could probably generate some wheels turning on SaltConf speaking content.
Sure. Yeah. Or what's coming, or changes, or
yeah,
other ideas.
Sure.
Yeah, or if we don't have enough time to do it here, maybe it goes in a meetup and we record information there. Sometimes we need a full hour. Sometimes we only need half an hour, so we can do those here. But there are some topics that I think we have that we want to go through. I'll look at maybe even scheduling those out. Maybe we can even post them as agenda items, Janae, somewhere on the website. That way people also know when they're coming, so you know when to attend or when to watch, and we'll link them back to the recordings and make sure that that's available to people.
Yeah, that could actually be a fun meetup for July. We could even push what we had been talking about doing to August and do a kind of a demo thing for our virtual meetup next month.
Yeah, if we have enough content for a full hour, great. I'm thinking that as we start looking towards Tiamat getting out of beta, that could potentially be an entire hour again.
Mhm.
Other things too,
I can fill more than an hour with you.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, you
we
can,
always
Randy.
talk about it.
We had a
Love to do that
whole
one
virtual
again.
meetup around Tiamat with Randy in March, which is on YouTube. So you can check it out.
Yeah, we could do more as we've made more progress and more things have changed with TMI. We do it again. I think that's great. It's great to show that progress.
Love it. Awesome. Well, if no one has anything else, I'm going to give you guys all back some time in your day and we'll wrap up. Everyone, hope you had a great holiday week if you're in the US doing Memorial Day this last week, and hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.